we go. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to today's stream, today's podcast, whatever you want to call it. My name is Cody Waits, a.k.a. Quatesy, and I'm really excited to be here for the second week in a row. Welcome to what I'm still calling 52/1993. And this podcast, this stream is mostly going to be about movies and watching movies from 1993. And the way that we're going to do that, and I'll explain it every time that we get this all started, is basically I pick important movies released in 1993. It's been 30 years. We need to bring these movies back up again. And talk about them. Doesn't matter if they're good movies or they're bad movies or in between movies. But basically, that's what I've been wanting to do for a long time and talk about movies. It's one of my favorite things to do. And then in addition, I'm going to have a guest to talk about the movie, and then I'm going to talk to them about their interests, their movie tastes. It could clash with mine. It could be the exact same. But it's always nice to learn a little bit about people and know what they're watching and what their likes are and interests. And I really just I'm using this as an excuse to just talk to my friends about movies. So we'll go ahead and get things started here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull my friend in and our guest for today's show. This is going to be my friend Joseph Sawyer, a.k.a. Sir Garlet. As you can see, that's his gamer tag. So if you want to play some video games with him, he's always available. Hey, Joseph, how are you doing?
Hey, doing good.
Nice. Welcome.
Quite.
Quatesy, that's right. I like the Captain America shield in the back. I think that's an excellent place for it.
Hey, thanks.
If I were decorating a house, I would want that to be the centerpiece, the focal point of any house that I'm living in. So, so this week, before we get into it, Joseph, I'll talk a little bit more about the movie that we're going to be discussing. As some of you have probably already seen, we're talking about Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. This movie was released on February 3rd of 1993. Happy Groundhog Day in 1993. Go watch a show about some animals. The director of this movie is Duane Dunham. I did not mispronounce that. It is Duane Dunham. He's done some other, I want to say some Disney Channel original movies. He's also done some television directing, like Twin Peaks was a big part of this guy's repertoire. This was written by Caroline Thompson and Linda Wolverton, and it was adapted from a novel that was written in the 1960s. This is also a remake of the 1963 movie. This is, what was it called? Oh, The Incredible Journey. That's exactly what it was called. So, talk a little bit about that. This movie is starring Michael J. Fox as the voice of Chance, the American Bulldog. Sally Field is the voice of Sassy, which is a Himalayan cat. Don Amici, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, as the voice of Shadow, the Golden Retriever. Also starring Kim Greist as Laura Burnford Seaver, Robert Hayes as Bob Seaver, Jean Smart as Kate, Bart the Bear as the bear, and Ben Rattler and Tiki as the animals. As those titular, or not the titular animals, but the animals that we're talking about today. And the synopsis for this movie, it's a fun-loving American Bulldog pup, a hilarious Himalayan cat, and a wise old Golden Retriever embark on a long trek through the rugged wilderness in a quest to reach home and their beloved owners. I could not find a budget for this movie. I don't know if you were able to find a budget for this movie, Joseph. I looked everywhere and could not find how much they spent on this movie.
That was nowhere.
The box office, though, I would say they probably spent around. If we're basing this off of Leprechaun spending $1 million, I'll say they probably spent like maybe $10 million on this movie. But the box office was a success, $41 million for the domestic box office. Has a Rotten Tomatoes score. This is certified fresh, I would say, with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 87%. IMDb gave it a 6.9 out of 10, so all the users there. Gave that a 6.9 out of 10. And I'll get to some reviews here in a second. But the legacy of this movie, after the success of this first movie, like I said, this is a remake of a 1963 movie. But after the success of this movie, this film got a sequel called Homeward Bound 2 Lost in San Francisco, and that came out in 1996. Took them a few years to develop that one, but and I believe that movie was a moderate success as well. So I'll go ahead and start with your initial reaction to this movie, Joseph. What'd you think?
It was solid. It's probably been 20 years since I've seen it, maybe. And there was definitely some nostalgia attached. So I was expecting to like it like I did back then, but it was actually like a good movie. Like it was very charming, I would say. The voice acting was great. They got some incredible shots with the animals somehow. Yeah, just a really feel good movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So I held off on the reviews just because I wanted to hear your take before I jumped in here. But I feel like we're all kind of on the same reaction to this. Our last guest last week, Spencer, I told he's been watching these movies too. He'll be watching these movies with me as we go on, but he did not like this movie at all, and he actually came into this movie hating it before he even watched it. But I'm kind of like you. Like I probably haven't seen this movie in about 25 years or so. I've got the original VHS over my shoulder. That's the VHS that I owned growing up, and it's back there on my shelf. But Roger Ebert, I found a few reviews for this, but I wanted to stick with Ebert and Siskel because they kind of were my childhood. I used to stay up and watch Siskel and Ebert's reviews all the time. But Roger Ebert said, Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey is a movie frankly designed for kids, and yet it has a certain craftsmanship and an undeniable charm. And if you find yourself watching it with a child, you may end up liking it almost as much. He gave it 3 stars. They are on a 4-star scale, so 3 out of 4 stars. And Siskel, I only got this from watching their segment on their show at the movies, but Siskel liked the voices of the animals much better than Roger Ebert, but both loved the movie despite its preposterous plot. They kept saying it was a preposterous plot, but Siskel even admitted that he got a little choked up. He even had a story about running into a Chicago police officer and them talking about crying in the lobby of the movie theater when they watched it. So that was pretty nice. I got a little choked up. I'm not gonna lie. There were a couple scenes in this movie that really got me. So, speaking of those scenes, we'll walk through that and see if are there any things that stick out to you. You said you were talking about like the shots of the animals. What other things stuck out to you?
The voice acting I thought was really great. Love Michael J. Fox in it, and I thought they cast Sally Field pretty well. She was very sassy. Like it fit very well for the cat. And then Shadow was like, the voice was just like super wise sounding. So
Shadow was actually my least favorite out of the 3 voices.
Okay, I can be okay with that. I didn't like. He was my least favorite of the animals, for sure. But I thought
definitely
the matched pretty well.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think I think Michael J. Fox kind of stole the show. He had all the best lines. He's the funny one. Yes. I think he's the obviously his compatriot in the movie is the youngest child. It kind of suits it. I think that was kind of funny that each child had their own animal. Hopefully those parents don't have any more children or they're getting another animal in there.
Yeah. Is that a 90s thing? I don't
know. I don't really know. Also, I don't know what the casting choice is for the American Bulldog. Bold choice, I feel like. That's people would say that's like a meaner looking dog. but yeah, he just I don't know. He seemed pretty precocious, and
So
I felt like the voice fit and his actions definitely fit with Mike. I think Michael J. Fox was the best part of this whole thing.
retweet.
Yeah, retweet definitely. What else? What other things stuck out to you?
Um, I mean, the critics have it exactly right about preposterous is a perfect word for the plot because like these animals are dead within like 24 hours in the real world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But it kind of made it like I don't know, feel like 90s magical kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. One of the things you were talking about, like shots with the animals, I don't know if it was a '90s thing, but and Disney or like I feel like we were really obsessed with the wilderness or the outdoors during this time. I can think of a couple movies off the top of my head that really remind me that and are very '90s. Wild America. I don't know if you remember that movie. Um, it's
no.
about the Stouffer brothers who did a lot of like nature documentaries within the United States. Very wilderness heavy. Jonathan Taylor Thomas classic.
Should know
What
it.
else? There was another movie I had in my mind and I can't even think about it. But I feel like there was like an obsession almost with America, the frontier during this time, and showing off the beautiful landscapes that America has to offer. And there's some beautiful shots in this. I think they shot most of it in Oregon. Um, in the landscapes there, I think some of it might have been shot in Canada, but um, what a great movie. Great animal classic. I kind of love that they didn't go computer making the animals' mouths move. I think that was a good choice. Great Outdoors. That's a great movie that somebody brought up. We were obsessed with camping and too. Like another Jonathan Taylor Thomas classic, Man of the House with Chevy Chase. They have that whole camping scene. Another movie I think of, Bushwhacked with Daniel Stern, who's one of the robbers from Home Alone, where he's leading like a Boy Scout troop out in the middle of the woods while like running away from mobsters. So like, just more preposterous plots in the
Yeah.
'90s. Um, okay, so let me just kind of walk through some of the scenes that I wrote down here. The first scene that we see in this movie is a wedding scene, where we see the main character, or the not main characters. The main characters are the animals, but the mother and the father of this family getting married. Obviously, it's this mom has three children, and the stepdad is kind of moving in here. You kind of get that established in the first few scenes, but you also, I feel like you find out really quickly about what you're getting with each one of these animals, especially with Chance the dog who goes after that cake. Um,
Immediately. Yeah.
Immediately.
It was like everything that he does, like from the opening of the movie, just you just know immediately, like you're saying, he's a wild card.
Absolutely, and Sassy is cunning, I would say the least, with her shrimp trick. She does a trick where she acts like she doesn't want food, and then the humans will give her the food that she desires. I thought that was pretty clever. Quickly established one of the key quotes of this movie: "Cats rule and dogs drool,"
Yeah. The thing
which I
is,
think we probably all said on the maybe not "Cats rule and dogs drool," but "Boys rule and or girls drool." I think we probably all said that on the playground at some point.
right? Because
Um,
babies.
yeah, this is a really short movie. I think it comes in under the 1.5 hours, so it gets pretty it gets going pretty quickly. They kind of establish early on that hey, this dad just gets a new job or something that he has to go to San Francisco for, and we'll be back in a couple weeks to get these animals. So we're kind of already setting up that stepdad thing where the kids don't really trust him, don't really like him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so we get these dogs. They're already misplaced. They're getting sent to a family friend. I don't know. Um, with Kate, who's played by the wonderful Jean Smart, who's kind of had a renaissance of a career here lately. Um, I don't. Yeah, I don't, what are you thought? What are your thoughts on leaving these pets, specifically a cat and these two dogs, with this person? They don't really establish who she is or how trustworthy she is, but it's just like, we're going to drive you to a ranch and drop you off.
Yeah, it was very forced almost. Like, who is this lady? Why was she not at the wedding?
That's a
Um,
great point. I never
and
even thought about that.
I mean, if you trust them enough to have your animals stay with them, like I'm thinking, like you gotta be at least like close enough to get an invite to the wedding. But
And
apparently
an,
not. Schedule conflicts. I don't know.
and another thing, and you've dog sat before. I know you have. I've watched after dogs before, dogs and cats before. If I'm leaving my animals with somebody, they better be there the whole time.
They don't leave. Yeah,
You
no,
don't leave.
that's not a thing. And it seemed like the family, like the parents, were aware that she was going to be leaving, and it was just like, "Oh, don't worry, the neighbor Frank, he's great. He'll take care of it." And like, man, that's not me. That's not me.
Another thing with these kinds of movies, and I love talking about these 90 movies, is because nobody has phones. Nobody has a cell phone. Nobody has a way to communicate. We're doing everything by fax. We're doing everything by a landline phone. So she leaves, and Frank comes, or whatever his name is, to check on these, and she's got some note in the barn
No. Oh my gosh.
that just falls off.
Yeah.
It apparently there's some missing scenes in this movie. I didn't write them down, but apparently there's some deleted scenes that really shore up the plot a little bit.
Oh, really? Because I would love to see that, because I'm like, so she wrote a first note that she was taking the animals with her and then changed her mind? Or like how is there like a note that suggests to Frank that she has taken the animals? I know like the note he was supposed to read fell on the floor, but what is this other note like?
Yeah, the point. Why are there two notes?
Yeah,
At all?
you
Is
ball it up, right?
I
Like
mean,
if that's not a real note, like, trash can.
yeah, trash can it. Well, we need the plot device, I guess. But these dogs, the two dogs and the cat are obviously very homesick, and they take it upon themselves to not stay with Kate. She's a very terrible dog sitter, cat sitter, and they just take it on their own. We're gonna go back home. We're gonna find our owners. They don't understand it. This is another problem. Okay, this is another problem I have with the movie. Sometimes the dogs understand the humans, and sometimes they don't. We've got like a Stewie Griffin Family Guy thing going on here, where can they understand the baby? Can they not? The dogs, I don't feel like understand the humans when it's convenient.
Yes, I agree. I think there is definitely some inconsistency there. It's like they tried to make it seem like they pick up on like, the normal dog keywords like home, like uh, food, stuff like that. But then there's a little bit of inconsistency there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kind of
Uh,
forced again, but that's how it is sometimes.
Are there any scene? I've got a few scenes listed here that I would want to talk about, and maybe a couple. I think like one quote or two quotes that I have. This is not a real quotable movie. I'm not going to leave this movie being just saying all these quotes, but
I don't know, man. I disagree. I think there was some good stuff in there.
well, tell me about it.
Old
If you,
Schwartz kitty, like,
Schwarzenegger.
come on.
I forgot
Yeah,
all
like,
about Arnold Schwartz.
Like,
The catapult scene is an incredible scene. So, for some of the drama in the movie, this is at a point when Chance and Shadow are separated from Sassy, because we'll talk about Sassy here in a second, and her little separate journey that she's on.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Chance and Shadow think she is dead and she is gone forever. And they'll never see it. They're like, tough. Okay, we've got to move on. But they kind of get cornered by a mountain lion. Very dramatic scene. And Chance and Shadow set up a trap based on a seesaw trick that Chance had performed earlier in the movie on Sassy the cat and launched the cat into the air. A very funny scene.
Just like you practice. Yep.
Just like we practiced. That has probably one of my favorite Chance moments in the entire movie because of the butterfly.
Where he sticks it out.
Chance is getting ready to pounce on. Chance is getting ready to pounce on that seesaw or whatever rock, convenient seesaw rock in that situation to launch this launch this mountain lion who can't talk. By the way, only dogs and cats can talk. That's another rule of this movie. But he gets distracted by a butterfly, and he's saying that he's like, "Get out of here! Get out of here!"
Yeah, like Shadow's about to get eaten by this mountain lion because Chance is like spacing. Just butterfly, cool.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Shadow's such a stick in the mud, though.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, he really created a whole movie that didn't need to happen. It's like something's wrong. We got to get home. When really, like, if you would just chilled, like, they would have been back in like a week. You know, everything's good. I don't know, his like intuition or like sixth sense that he talked about a couple times just seemed like a little questionable.
Yeah. Chance has some trauma too.
Yes.
That's another thing. Not discussed.
He's a rescue.
He's a rescue. He's not a purebred. Or not he is a purebred, but he's not a he's not been established. He's had a couple different owners, and they all disappoint him. And that gets to a point in the movie too, when they do finally get captured by some people. He's definitely somebody in my chat said he served some time.
Exactly.
He's definitely served some time. And I also had somebody in the chat talk about the mountain lion seesaw plan and how IMDb users have had a problem with it just because of the physics of it all. I don't care.
Yeah. I'm sure that doesn't check out.
Yeah, the math is not there. A dog does not weigh more than a mountain lion, but that mountain lion got launched.
Yeah, that's like one of the scenes too that I'm like, how did they get this footage? Like, there's an actual mountain lion in the water there at some point, like swimming around. Like,
there's a lot of that, and like when I did some of the research to figure out, because one of the things I'll talk about, and I don't know if I really want to get into right now, is like the ethics of this movie and working with animals, but like talking about Sassy and her crossing the river, she didn't want to cross where they did, so she decided to jump on some rocks and a log, and it breaks. The log breaks and that cat goes down a like raging river going through some. And you're right. Like I don't know how they capture it, and they say like they used a fake cat. They used several cats. That's not even a river. It's like a pool that they used, a very warm pool. They wanted to make sure that everybody knew that it was very warm water, comforting water, not cold water that it probably would be. But yeah, you're right. Like there's a lot of these scenes that I'm still not convinced how they did it without hurting an animal.
Yeah, the one you're talking about with Sassy, especially, like it seemed like some of those parts were like someone is holding a cat and they have like a GoPro type setup just in front of them and just like holding them while we're going down rapids.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it looked like. Yeah. I mean, if it was a warm pool, no rapids or anything like that, they did a great job.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
Apparently, there were several stunt cats in the scene. They were all trained cats. They knew what they were doing. They practiced that scene for a while. But I think for shots of the cat rushing down the river, that's not a real cat at all. It's a fake cat. So I don't know.
I'm sure it's a fake one going over the waterfall.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, we're well past like Milo and Otis times,
Oh
right?
gosh, yeah, I was gonna bring that up later, the Milo and Otis, and we'll talk about it because it's pretty traumatic when you learn about it. But Milo and Otis, a movie about a cat and a dog, a pug and a cat, um, on a journey. I don't even remember the plot of. I don't know if it had a plot, but I loved it as a kid because it was just narration over these two animals and just having a great time. So
Yeah, it was similar feel,
yeah,
like
very similar.
they're friends doing their journey together. Like there's funny voice, but yeah,
Just not made with care at all.
yes,
And
you
now
find that
I
out
don't know if I
later
can.
in life, and you're like, whoa,
I don't know if I can watch that movie again, knowing what I know now.
right, pretty bad.
um, I wanted to talk. One thing I want to get your opinion on this scene because I think it's a pretty dramatic scene in the movie, and I just want your opinion on it. So I'm talking about the missing girl scene.
Oh yeah. First of all, my initial impression now watching the movie all these years later is like, what is this girl doing without a jacket? Like, we're in the winter. Like, what? How is she just out here in like some short sleeve jammies? Like, what is going on with the parents here? Even if it's a lost child, like, how do we get there? Um, yeah. But yes, very very like traumatic scene as far as like um, the kid being lost, and then like Shadow gets to do his thing to like be like the source of comfort, and like, oh, this may not be my kid, but I'm still gonna help this kid out. Yeah, I don't know. It was like, I don't know. I had mixed feelings about it. It was cool that he was able to like help out.
It's that typical. It's that, like, again, going back to like preposterous plot and everything. I
Yeah.
don't know what mood I was in when I watched this, but that scene got me. I don't know why.
Was that one of the cry moments, or like
That
one of
was
the?
definitely, I teared up. I'm not gonna lie, it really got me. It was really effective, especially when they reunite the parents with the and it was like that Lassie moment where a park ranger's talking to this dog, like, "What is it, boy? Where is? Or do you know?"
Right. Yeah. Very
But
very lucky.
I don't. When the mom and dad realize that they're about to see their daughter again and she's okay and everything, it really got me.
I think the if I remember, the mom like was a pretty good actress for like her 10 seconds of screen time. I think she did like a pretty like believable like cry when they were reunited.
That's what somebody in the chat just said. Great acting by the mother. I'll give her that. It's somebody needs to look up her credits and put her
What's she
put
doing
her.
now? Like, is she
Yeah,
still crying and things?
it might be. It was probably Meryl Streep, and we're just missing out on it.
No way. No way.
But it's that
Yeah,
scene. Um, it's that scene where we finally get some start to get some resolution with the animals, and them hopefully getting found quickly. The park rangers find these animals. The dad at this point has put out like an APB. Hey, my pets are missing. They're probably in the Sierra Nevada mountains somewhere. Can you find them? And they happen to find these animals. So these dogs, again, not understanding anything that humans are doing, freak out because this is what the pound is like. Chance has been there before. He's, he can't trust anybody, can't trust these people. And this is also after, man, a lot has happened to these dogs. I forget. They shove so much into an hour and like 25 minutes. Because this is Sassy goes down the river, presumed dead,
yeah,
gets taken in by a strange man who lives by the river, I guess.
yeah. It's like a bird watcher or something, or I don't know.
Yeah,
He's like documenting a hawk or something. I don't know.
I don't know what I don't know what he's doing.
Just a
He's
naked guy.
he's probably a killer. Um, that's all I'm gonna say. That's a serial killer. And Sassy just runs off, and he's just like, "All right, bye, cat."
See you
Um,
later.
Chance encounters. I forgot about Chance encountering a bear at some point. Um,
Yeah,
Kind of an anticlimactic scene, if I'm being honest.
true. It was just like a runoff. But that was another scene where it looked like the dog and the bear cubs were both in the same shot. Like I
I'm
don't think it
I
was like glass or anything. It was like almost like Chance was like batting at him or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But that's where the famous actor, probably one of the most famous actors in this movie, Bart the Bear, who, if you've ever seen any movie from the 90s or 80s, Bart the Bear was the bear in those movies. So somebody had mentioned Great Outdoors earlier, where there's a bear that gets its fur blown off of its behind.
That was Bart.
That's Bart the Bear. He's so
Wow,
famous.
man, he's doing it.
I don't even know. Somebody said grizzly bears are not found in the mountains of California. I'm not sure if that was. I was about to say that was a brown bear. Um,
But the Cubs
the
were
cubs were black bears. Okay, that's a fun little tidbit.
yeah, also good.
Um, and then one of the classic moments is when Chance finds uh, a porcupine.
Ooh, yeah, tell me your thoughts on the spikes and the cheek. Is that what?
Yeah, so I did read up on this. The spikes in this was all makeup. They were applied with spirit gum, which I don't know anything about movies. I don't know anything about makeup or anything like that. But spirit gum is basically what they use to like attach beards to people or fake or prosthetics or anything like that. So that was just attached to. There was no. I mean, it was just a makeup thing, and they used a fake dog to when the porcupine struck Chance in the face. That's a fake dog, according to the half-assed internet research that I have done.
Okay.
A lot of unconfirmed research on this movie that I did.
Yeah, it could not be true, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, if it was all fake, they did a great job. Um, it looked so real that he had those like sticking through his jaw. So
I think it looks even more specifically real when we get to the park ranger vet scene when they are
yeah,
pulling them out, because it's like it's a little hard to watch thinking about those porcupine quills being stuck in like in you. It would have
yeah,
that pull.
yeah. I didn't like that.
So that was an interesting. What does he call him? He calls him a squirrel, I think.
Yeah, a squirrel with a bad hair day or some haircut or something.
Classic
Yeah.
90s lines that I mean I hear those lines like Arnold Schwarzenegger, a squirrel with a bad haircut. I hear those lines and I think about myself as a child watching this. I'm 6 years old, 5 years old. Those lines are hitting.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, he said when he gets hit, he said that I think that's my quote of the movie. When he gets hit, he says, "He bit me with his butt."
I forget.
And just think about that as a kid, man.
He bit me with his
Sense
butt.
to me, 100%. He bit me with his butt. I mean, it still makes me laugh. I laughed out loud when I heard it.
He
So
bit me with his butt. I forgot all about it.
yeah.
Because my favorite quote of the movie is a very stupid quote, and it was obviously all of these lines were added in post because like Michael J. Fox isn't on set watching these animals do whatever they're doing. There is a scene where they have all three of the animals running across a field, and Chance falls, like stumbles, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, gopher hole."
Go roll. I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh,
It's my
man.
favorite line in the entire movie. So
Yeah,
stupid.
that one's good. There's like a similar moment too where he's like they're running across the field and he like hits like a little tree or something. I
Yes.
can't remember what Michael J. Fox says, but like the dog like almost does like a full 360. Just hits
They're
the
like, keep
tree.
filming. This is great. This is great. Just keep doing what you're
Keep
doing.
going, keep going. Oh man.
Yeah, that vet scene also leads to an elaborate escape plan. Led by by Chassis. I'm combining their names now. It's like they're a couple. By Sassy, with the Mission Impossible theme music in the background.
That's how you know it's a real
That's
escape.
that's how you know. And it works, I guess. Although I was in a lot of pain watching Chance underneath that fence.
Yeah, I didn't
I
like it.
hated that scene. I'll be honest. I have a soft spot for animals, but him getting caught under that fence, I was like, ooh, I don't like this at all.
Yeah, that was another one that I was like, another moment that I was like, okay, because his collar like really got caught one time, and there was like an actual dog yelp, and I was
Yeah, and like
like,
that had, I mean, it looked like real chain link. The only thing I could think of was that that wasn't a real chain link fence and it was
yeah,
some softer material. But still, like you said, his collar gets caught. I no other no other way around it.
yeah, cry of pain. I mean, I don't know. What do you do? Just not use that footage and do it again, and hope they don't get hurt.
I just think they throw their hands up and say, "Hey, at least we're not Milo and Otis."
Maybe, yeah. I mean, with a bar like that, you can get away with a lot. Jeez.
And then after that escape, the animals escape, and then right as soon as they've escaped, the family pulls up to the park ranger vet place, whatever it is. Common, or common
Yeah.
trope in this movie, but we just missed them, kind of thing, and you're heartbroken. And there's probably like 5 or 10 minutes left in this movie. Like I said, they just shove it in.
Yeah.
Um, that leads to the mud pit scene where Shadow falls into that hole and can't get out, is injured, I guess. Um, Another scene where the internet made sure to tell me that no dog was harmed in the making of this, and that if Shadow wanted to get out of that mud pit hole, he could have gotten out of that mud pit hole. So they said that they used a fake dog at a couple times in that shot, in a couple of those shots where he's just laying in pain or in a deep hole. That was a fake dog.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing any moment where I was like, "Oh, that's a fake dog," like fake dog, fake cat. I mean, it's the '90s. I feel like it would have been a little bit noticeable if they were using an entirely fake animal.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know.
they have a good. They might have used stuffed real stuffed animals. I don't know, like stuffed.
Yeah,
Saddest scene. Yeah, you think that
very
scene?
sad.
I was expecting. I think I knew. Like I said, 25 years ago when I've seen this movie, I was expecting that to be sad, and it didn't get me like the other scenes, like the girl reunion scene, and then the little girl getting reunited with her parents. That one got me, and then the reunion scene where they all come back to each of their respected kids.
Yeah,
The mud scene did not get me as much. I think it was because I didn't like Shadow. Sorry, guys.
yeah. I remember liking Shadow, but this time around, not a big fan. Um, and speaking of Shadow, like the the moment before that you're talking about 5 minutes earlier when they're halfway across the mountain, but right after they are leaving the escape and the family pulls up, like there's a moment where like Shadow finally has like a good like sixth sense. He's like, wait, something's telling me to go back, and so that there's like this moment where he's like thinking about it, and he's like, nah, we're just gonna keep going. That's stupid. That was like his first good instinct the whole movie, and he didn't listen to it. So yeah, I didn't really like him. All the way
Poor guy.
throughout.
Poor
Yeah,
guy.
sorry. I love golden retrievers too.
I do too. I love a good golden retriever Air Bud. They play basketball really well, football, baseball. I think they do it all.
Yeah,
Um, it was just he was a little much for me.
yeah,
Stick in the mud. He's supposed to be like that. I think we're supposed to relate more with Chance and be more with Chance than anything, because he's the fun one.
Right.
So then there's the reunion scene, and one by one, those animals reunite with their kids. Chance runs over the hill. He tackles Jamie. He shouts it. That little kid is adorable. All the kids were cute, I think.
Yeah.
By the way,
Good kids.
and then Sassy kind of just walking up to her person, and then I forget Peter. Is that his name? Peter.
Yeah.
Poor Peter. That next time, and he's just waiting, and then he just gives up. He's just like, he's too old. He just couldn't do it.
Absolutely hate that moment in the movie.
That's crushing.
But what kid is not instead sprinting as hard as they can, like over that hill? Like, oh, he might be like just on the other side. And
what if he
like,
was hurt?
No, he's too old, and just like turns his back. Like, come on.
He doesn't even care.
He was too old.
He's too old. He couldn't make it. Which somebody in the chat also mentioned, do we have an idea of just how far these animals traveled? I do not. I don't think it's as much as they think. Like, obviously we're in the Sierra. Somebody did say, and I think you can figure this out. They start in Fresno.
Okay.
And the family's obviously in San Francisco. So I think that Kate's ranch or something is somewhere around Fresno.
Okay.
And probably lived near their house. That's what I'm guessing. So
Okay.
if anybody, I've got some researchers out there that are doing some research for me on the side. If anybody can, kind of see, I don't know how you would calculate it, because it's like Fresno. They probably weren't like, they were probably like a few miles away.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Somebody said 3 hours. That's probably Fresno to San Francisco. But like, they didn't go to San Francisco. They came back home. So there's no telling where. How many miles these dogs were, these animals were away from their actual home. I want to say Kate's house is like right down the road, and then they probably, I'll give them like 20 miles. Let's just say 20 miles away. That's what I'm gonna say.
I think that's probably pretty generous. How many days was it too? Do we have like a accurate night day count, or was it just?
I'm trying to think. At least. I'm trying.
I mean, I know it was at least they were supposed to go back to Kate's in 2 weeks.
And she was gone 2 days, right?
She was gone 2 days. They called after a week.
Yeah.
And the animals were still there, so I don't know.
I think I'm choosing to believe that they were. I'm going to go 5 days.
5 days? Okay.
5 days tops is how long they were. What is the average travel speed of a cat? I don't know, but if I were those dogs, I would have left her, because it can't. She's got these short legs. They already thought she was dead at one point and left without her, so this whole time. 300 miles in the original film. They'd traveled 300 miles
like
away.
In Canada. Yeah, they were like up in Canada, I think, in the original movie. Like,
yeah,
across the territories. No way a cat can make it 20 miles. Yeah, I mean, that's the magic of it, you know?
Yeah. Again, as a 5-year-old, I'm not really thinking about the semantics of it or the physics of launching a cat in the air.
Yeah. It's all about the journey, man.
That's right. But Shadow does reunite with Peter, and we have a very sweet moment where they have like a hugging. Shadow's limping at one point. I did find out how they did that. They put like something on his paw that would cause him to. It was like a little ball or something that they could just like put around his paw, and that would make him not walk correctly. But
Okay.
so he wasn't hurting. He wasn't hurting at all. It was just a mild irritant. So
That's good. That's good. I thought you were gonna say fake dog. But
it was not a fake dog. That was a very sweet moment, and that's where we get our reunion song. Somebody said that they really like the music of that scene. I don't remember that sticking out to me, but now I want to kind of watch that last scene again and hear those French horns that somebody was talking
that's
about.
what we
So,
said.
so what do you, if you were, does this movie hold up? Let's go with that first.
Yeah, I think as like just a sort of feel good family movie, I think it's fine. Yeah, I don't think there was anything really like problematic that didn't age well. Even like the scenes looked good. If they did use like fake animals, like they did a good enough job that it's not super noticeable. So
Could they make it today, you think?
like remake it.
Yeah, if they were to do I don't think they could
Not
do.
the
I
same
think they would
way.
do I think they would do everything it would be an animated movie or like they did with Lion King. It would be like CG for the
Yeah.
most part. Yeah,
Yeah,
live.
even if they were conscious of like being very safe and ethical with the animals, I still think there's some like questionable things that people would absolutely go up in arms over today. Even like small stuff, like the lobster. The lobster was like on his
Oh yeah.
lip at one point or something, like something small like that. Yeah, I don't think that would fly today.
No.
But,
I think that was I forgot about the crawdad crayfish, whatever you want to
oh,
call it.
yeah.
I think that was attached to his lip with a rubber band. Magic of movie making, guys. Um, I'm trying to think if you could do anything to this movie to make it better. Like, I'm thinking that we could probably obviously recast the animals. Um, who would I want to voice the present three today? Yeah, that's a great. Somebody in chat asked me that. Who would I pick to voice the three present day?
That is a really good question. Um, I think I think Chance is a hard recast. I think I don't know that you're going to find anybody to do it better than.
That's somebody in chat just said Ryan Reynolds as Chance. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Ryan Reynolds would be a good choice for Chance. Oh, Charlie Day
Charlie Day. Yeah.
or
Okay.
Charlie. Yeah, Charlie Day. Um, is that what is it? Is that his name? Charlie Day.
I don't know if that's his real name or his.
It is his real. That is his real name.
um,
Just Charlie Day would be a good choice, I think. I'm trying to think of any younger actors too that would be. Um, yeah, Charlie Kelly's his fake name. Charlie Day is the real name.
okay, there it is.
Jamie Foxx for Shadow. Samuel L. Okay, I like these. I like some suggestions here.
Morgan
Sassy.
Freeman for Shadow.
Morgan Freeman for Shadow. That would be a wise old dog. I would maybe like. I was gonna say Idris Elba, but then I was like, I don't want a British one. I don't want a Brit. Wanda Sykes for Sassy. I see. I was just thinking of replacing Sassy with somebody that's more like Sally Field, just a Sally Field type character, like I don't know, Julia Roberts or probably somebody who's just a little bit younger than Lizzo for. Come on now, come
Lizzo.
on now. I'm
Hey,
not
sassy.
casting this. If I did all TikTok for for these, Lizzo would make it for sure. Um, no, I really like Jamie Foxx for Shadow is an interesting one. I'm trying to think of anybody else that I would want in that role. Are there any old actors that I'd like to see in that? They'd probably cast somebody like Tom Hanks or something like that in that role.
I think you could give him more of like a. If you're doing it again, try to make Shadow more of like a hard ass than a stick in the mud, like a
Yeah,
It's like a
like
Westerner type vibe, you know,
Ice Cube in 21 Jump Street.
exactly. That was exactly what I was thinking of.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, I would do different dogs. I think I'd stick with the golden retriever. It's kind of a staple. I would recast Chance as some other kind of dog,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it would be.
I'm trying to think. I think the original one, like back in the '60s, it was like a Siamese cat instead of a Himalayan.
A lab.
Yeah, a lab, and then it was the other
Is a bull terrier, English
bull
bull
terrier.
terrier,
That's what it is. Yeah,
which
they have like the very distinct look. Yeah, I
those
couldn't think
are
of.
crazy looking dogs. But I think the bull terrier was the shadow character in that movie, and
Oh, okay.
the lab um was the Chance character. I think they switched it up a little. I would have thought the
Okay.
opposite, but
Interesting.
yeah. Um, what else did I? Let's see here. Uh, One thing I didn't mention earlier, this I'd mentioned, but it's based on a novel by Sheila Brunford in 1960. It was remade, or they made a movie about it in 1963. We just talked about what the different cats were, and it was a narrated movie, and it didn't include voices for the animals. So,
Ooh,
um,
interesting.
yeah, very interesting there. And I've never watched that. I'm sure my parents watched that when they were growing up or had seen that movie. Um, Disney was
That's the
really
same last name as the family, isn't it?
exactly. That was a fun fact there.
Shut up.
The same name. The author's name was the same name as the family in this movie. Other let's see here. Other fun facts, things. You may have seen the dad of this movie, Bob Seaver, before. He's most popular, I think, for the airplane movies. If you've ever watched Airplane, he's the main character of the airplane movie. Kim Greist, that plays the mom. I think she's shown up in a couple movies. She's in a movie called House Guest with Sinbad, which is, uh, I
Which you
think, from
love.
last week's movie. Spencer was really into House Guest last week. Like I said, Bart the Bear, he's been in a ton of stuff. Jean Smart, she's got that show Hacks. I believe she was in the Watchmen television series on HBO. She was in Babylon, which actually just came out last month, which I loved. I don't know if you've seen Babylon yet, but that's not what this podcast is about. Um, so there's some people in this movie. Um, so there's a little bit
Yeah.
more fun facts. Let me see. We already kind of talked about the unconfirmed research I had about the ethics of this movie and whether or not it is ethical or not, but definitely more ethical than Milo and Otis. If you want to be tormented about animal treatment, look up Milo and Otis. They threw a cat over a cliff several times in that movie. Many cats in that movie.
Just with the shot.
Yep, just to get a shot. So, as we close up on this movie, I think we'll close up now on this, unless you have any other fun facts or anything that you're holding out on.
The only other thing that I had to look up, I saw there was like a dedication at the end. Apparently, like one of the producers, Franklin Levy,
Mm-hmm.
uh, died during production,
Oh,
so they dedicated to it.
rest in power, Franklin.
Yeah.
One
Not
thing I'll
really.
say too is I watched through the entire movie, and at the very end um, they held on a shot that says like the ASPCA, like it just held on. Hey, no animals were hurt in the middle of this movie. Or in the filming of this movie at all, and they like held on that ASPCA warning for a while. So they really wanted to make sure that people knew we were taking care of these animals at all times. So that made me feel a little bit better about watching it. I you know love animals. God love them.
Did you watch your VHS copy?
I
Was
did
that
not. I don't have a VCR that works right now.
okay?
Yeah,
I was wondering, is that like
a Disney Plus add-on.
added? Yeah, or if
Yeah.
it did the same thing back in the original.
So you've watched the movie. I always want to hear a 5-star rating or a star rating out of 5. You can do half stars. You can. I don't care how many quarter star. You can whatever you want. What did you give it?
I'd probably say a 3.5. That's
3.5. Solid. Three point
it's like
five.
it's a fine movie. It's not like a movie that I would really like watch for my own enjoyment, but it's fine. It's feel good. It's family friendly. Like, and then you got animals. So
Yeah,
there you go.
I love it. I think I went a little bit low, but it's still I gave it a 3 out of 5 on my scale. I absolutely would show this to a child. I think they would enjoy this movie a lot. It's got those probably some jokes from the '90s that they wouldn't get, like Schwartz a Kitty, um, and yeah, so I think it's a solid movie. It's got some really, like you had talked about, some really pretty shots. Some shots that with animals or fake animals that I don't know how they pulled off. Probably an incredibly, I mean, besides like the animal wrangling, probably a pretty easy movie to make with only like 4 scenes involving human beings. Um, it's probably a short shooting schedule, I would say. So I would definitely, I would recommend this to a family if they were wanting to sit down and watch something with their kids.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's especially if you're dealing with a family that's like extra conscious of like content. Very wholesome. So I think the most offensive thing that might have been said was "I'm too pooped to poop." So that gives you an idea of where it's at.
I'm too pooped to poop.
So
Rated G, I believe.
unless
Yeah,
it's like how sometimes it jumps to PG for like intense
intense
sequences.
scenes.
So
Yeah, this might have moved up because of
I
those
don't.
scenes. Somebody said, "What if they released a vulgar version?" I'd be in. I'd watch that.
Mm. Yeah, you would definitely have a lot more options for the voice acting. Um, yeah, that could be fun.
Seth Rogen as Chance. Jonah Hill as Chance. Just
Jonah
the F
Hill.
word every 5 seconds. So, all right. Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything about Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey.
Right.
Incredible journey. Hopefully, we'll have you on for another one. But I want to ask you some questions to kind of finish out this podcast. I'd love to get to know my guest. I want to know what you're into movie wise. I want to know what I should be watching. So I'll ask a few questions and then we'll close out some things. So. Uh, Joseph, we've been friends for a long, long time. I know probably some of your favorite movies, top 5 movies, but what you can answer either way. But what's your favorite movie, or if you have like a top 5, if you can't choose one, what are those?
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that has a hard time committing to like a one. So that's me. You probably could guess all the ones that I'm about to say is like I narrowed it down to kind of like a top four right now. So we're gonna go with uh, Sunshine,
Okay.
Danny Boyle, um, Interstellar, Christopher Nolan, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Kubrick, kind of pattern there, and then one that's jumped up into my favorite movies recently, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Wow. Okay. I did notice a pattern there. I didn't hear any alien in there. But
No,
I
man.
no alien, but tend to go for those sci-fi, those epics. Um, all great choices in my opinion. I love each and every single one of those movies, and have no hate for any of those, despite people in chat probably talking trash about some of those. Now, I think about Sunshine, and the only thing I would change about Sunshine is like some of the horror aspects of it. I almost want it to just be an Interstellar or a 2001 movie, but I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful.
I think that it's one of my unpopular opinions that I actually like the way that Sunshine ended.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people are just like the last 30 minutes are like, nah, I'm done with that movie. So
I like that movie. I like it. I love Danny Boyle. I haven't been disappointed by a Danny Boyle movie. So like 28 Days Later's great. Such a good movie.
Yeah, I do love 28 Days Later. Do I get to shoot these back at you, or am I on the hot seat?
No, I'm gonna keep you on the hot seat here. I like to keep like to keep the mystery for a while until somebody. So eventually, I'll reveal all my sources, and I keep up with a lot of this stuff. And I'll talk about that more at the end. Do you remember the first movie you watched, or like you had a favorite movie from childhood that it could have been something like Homeward Bound. Do you have anything like that?
I mean, I guess Homeward Bound, like cousin ish. The first movie that I remember watching is Fox and the Hound. Mainly because I just cried so much when I watched it when I was a kid. So that left an impression. I wouldn't say it's like a favorite movie, even when I was a kid, but I do really just remember being torn to bits watching that movie. So yeah, there you go, a little sad boy.
Yeah. I'm a hound dog.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably know some of these answers too. Do you have any favorite actors? Actresses?
Yeah, I mean, the only one I really have on that list is Mr. Murphy, Cillian Murphy himself.
Yeah.
As you could probably tell from some of those picks. Yeah, he's my guy. Really like Peaky Blinders. 28 Days Later is awesome. Even like some of his like weirder stuff. I don't remember the name of the movie, but there's some movie I watched one time where he was like playing a male and a female.
We watched that movie together.
Was that was us? Okay.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what I'm talking
I know
about.
what movie you're talking about.
I don't know what it is.
That's not the one. Elliot Page isn't in that movie, is he?
I don't.
Is that the movie with Elliot
Maybe.
Page? I don't know. I'll look that up
there
later.
Was a female role.
Yeah.
But I don't recall that as much.
Yeah, we definitely watched that movie together. Not the greatest.
That sounds right. But he was great.
Yeah, he was great.
Sunshine, Red Eye, Dunkirk. What was the last one? I missed it.
Anna? I don't know Anna.
Yeah.
Never met her.
Even like his small roles. Like I watched Dunkirk again recently, and like
Batman Begins.
Yeah, could have done more with Scarecrow, but no.
That's okay. Would you want him to play you in a movie about your life?
I mean, I'd be okay with that. Yeah, who better to cast than my favorite, I guess.
That's true.
Or you could go like a completely different, like random direction and grab like Danny Pudi from Community.
Okay, I like this.
You know, like just something like weird and kind of accessing life from almost like an out of body sort of film type lens. Anyways,
I like I like that Danny Pudi for you. That's a good one. Not specifically Abed. I think that I don't think you're anything like Abed. My favorite one of my favorite things to ask, and will be one of my favorite things to ask is, do you have any hot takes, any hot movie takes, or things that people would think are controversial?
Well, like my number one, and it's already been talked about, I think, last week to some degree, but um, I, I, I can bring it up again. I have a kind of a hang up with the Alien franchise. I don't really like the second movie that James Cameron did, and the direction that took like the franchise as away from like a more like horror to like a
Mm-hmm.
more action. Um, so
So let's.
that's yeah.
You might have some others, and that's fine if you do. I have a question, a follow up to that. So let's say yeah, and somebody's kind of getting ahead of me on this, and I think I already know your answer with it, but like, so we've got Ridley Scott doing this horror movie in space with the first Alien. Let's take Aliens 3 and Resurrection. Let's take all that out of there, and we just get Prometheus, which is another Ridley Scott movie. I feel like the tone of Prometheus takes more from the franchise that's been built than maybe that first one. Agree? Disagree? Like, I feel like it's given a little bit more mythology, a little bit more lore, science fictiony, and less about like a man versus beast kind of thing.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think, and I think that was intentional. All these years later, I think that the focus was kind of more like a existential one, and also like a more pronounced like dangers of AI kind of thing. That was kind of there in the first movie as sort of like a secondary arc, um, but yeah, I would agree. There's very little xenomorph in Prometheus at all,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people dismiss it entirely for that fact. And it is very different than the first movie. I mean, the first movie was like you're saying, man versus beast. This was more like man trying to find their creator,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
which very different. But I do like Prometheus probably more than any of the Alien sequels. So
If there's one movie that I hyped up more than any movie for myself, it's definitely when Prometheus came out. I have a tweet from that year. I think that was the year that The Hobbit came out. Prometheus came out. There's another one in there that I was just like, this is going to be the greatest year of cinema ever. And boy, I liked Prometheus. I don't know if I, yeah, that was a bit of a letdown. I definitely think that's why I'm doing this podcast about 1993. It's a clutch year.
Here we
Great
are.
year. We've got some really good stuff coming out this year. Some of the best movies probably ever made were made in this year, by by some pretty big directors, and we'll cover those. They're probably not Homeward Bound. They're probably not Leprechaun. Probably not the next few movies that I'll be watching. But we've got some really good stuff coming out this year, and that I'm really looking forward to. So,
Yeah.
speaking of looking forward to things, or things this year, is there anything that you're looking forward to coming out this year?
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. The obvious one is Oppenheimer, with my boy, Chris Nolan, which
Yeah.
big fan of him. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. There are also quite a few like horror movies coming out this year that I'm very excited about. I am a big fan of the Scream series, even like the newer ones. So there's another one coming out this year after I guess last year did good. There's a new Evil Dead movie coming out,
Mm-hmm.
which very excited about. Also, a movie called Beau is Afraid. Um, I think it is the next Ari Aster. I'm not sure if I'm
Yeah,
saying that
Ari
right.
Aster film.
Ari Aster.
He did what is it, Hereditary and Midsommar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's Joaquin is like the lead role in that one. So very excited.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
The only other one on my radar right now is Jesse Eisenberg's first movie, as like his debut. Um, when you finish saving the world, I think it's called.
Okay.
Actually, it may have already come out overseas, but anyways, it's coming out later this month, I think.
Nice. No, those are some good ones. I forgot about that Jesse Eisenberg. I'm gonna have to look that one up again. I know I had it's probably on my list, but definitely will be looking that one up. Is there what's the best thing that you've watched recently?
Yeah, this is gonna be very weird for me because it's not something that I'm usually like drawn to or would watch. But with my sister, we recently watched a TV show called From Scratch.
Okay.
It's like a kind of like drama romance series
Mm-hmm.
that's super sad. Probably the saddest thing I've watched in the past like 5 years. Well, one of the saddest.
Tony
Shout out,
Stark dying is number one.
shout out to Coda. No, um, yeah, it was just very like tender. They kind of did like each episode is like a sort of like time lapse to like a very crucial point in their relationship. Um, and I won't like spoil anything in case anybody wants to watch it. But it was very well done. The acting was great. Zoe Saldana was in it,
Okay.
uh, and I didn't recognize the like guy that was like her opposite in the relationship. But yeah, it was. I cried more in watching like the next to last episode than I have probably in the last year combined. So yeah, if you're looking for a good cry,
Okay.
from scratch, I think it was on Netflix.
From scratch. All right. I'll definitely check that out. Add that to the list. It's my year of TV this year as I do this movie podcast. I'm going to start watching more television shows and not just keep watching The Good Place on repeat. Um, and
What you got?
one, I love The Good Place, and it just hurts my feelings all the time. Let's see here. Last thing I want to ask you is, this is an opportunity for you to, give a movie recommendation to end on. It could be a couple movies, things that maybe you're really passionate about, or things that people maybe haven't seen, or even stuff that that people have seen. Do you have any movie recommendations for us?
I'll just make it simple and tell everyone that they need to see everything everywhere all at once. If you haven't, it's been out for almost a year now, and I try not to overhype things, but I do think it's one of the best movies that I've seen in like the last 10 years, and it's very accessible for everybody. I think, and I think it has something for everybody. So Michelle Yeoh, awesome. Don't know the guy's name from Indiana Jones who came back on the scene 30 years later, but he's awesome and has been amazing in the award season and stuff. Yeah, that's my one and only recommendation if you haven't seen it. See it.
Fantastic. Love that movie. Fantastic movie. Well, I think that's where we're going to end things here. I want to thank you, Joseph, for coming on here. I know I kind of gave you a short notice about needing you on this, but you did a great job, man. I really, really do appreciate it. I love to talk movies with you and just talk to you, period. So this is always great to do, and I hope we can do another one here in the future. Maybe
Same
we'll
to
do
you.
the entire Alien series or something eventually.
Whew, yeah, it could get a little shouty if we do that.
A little shout. I
Get
want
a
to
little
fight.
passionate.
I really want to fight. So
I will fight you through Twitch.
okay.
Just let you know.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, man, and I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks. All right, so that was Joseph, and his name is Sir Garlic. I believe he's on Letterboxd, just like I am on Letterboxd as well. If you want to follow me or follow any of my social media, you can do so by going to @CDWaits or looking up @CDWaits for any of these things. And Joe is one of my friends on there. as well. I believe it's under Sir Garlet. It might have been his username for that as well. So again, just want to thank him and thank all of you for joining me for this. It's hopefully only going to get better in the future and not better with my quality of guests or anything. I've gotten some really high quality guests on here, and hopefully everything starts to look a little bit better, maybe sound a little bit better here in the future. Also want to say that next week our movie is going to be called Summersby. Summersby, Sommersby. It is streaming right now on Hulu. It is a Civil War drama starring Jodie Foster and Richard Gere. I've never seen this movie, so this one will be a fresh one for me, and I'm really looking forward to it. It actually was one of the highest earners of this year. I think it was, in the 25 or 26 of the box office this year. So decent for this like mid-tier drama. I'm really, really looking forward to talking about that, and we'll have that next guest next week, and it's going to be great. I really do look forward to doing that. So join us next week. We're going to try and do these on Sundays around the same time again. And you can always keep up. I finally figured out how to keep these on here on Twitch. I'm also going to upload those to YouTube as well under my same tag, I believe. You can find those. It might be under a different name, but I'll post all that information here to the Twitch profile, and I'll leave it at that. So I just want to thank you all so much and hope you have a good rest of your day. Enjoy those playoff games. I know everybody's going to be watching. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your night.